we've spoken plenty about games that should get remakes over the last few weeks, games from the 2000s and games from the 1990s. Here, however, we're taking a bit of a different outlook. Here we're looking specifically at handheld titles that could see some radical and very interesting reinventions if companies decided to bring them back into the limelight. The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. The Minish Cap is easily among the most criminally underrated Zelda games of all time, owing to the fact that it's a handheld title and that it was developed by Capcom, not Nintendo. It's been viewed as something of a sidequel by many, though as those who have played it will tell you that's an unfair assertion. Because this is an incredible game. A remake that brings the game back to the forefront for modern audiences would surely prove that. Pokémon Black and White. This one is pretty much guaranteed to happen, obviously. The Pokémon Company has gone through their first 4 generations of mainline Pokémon titles where remakes are concerned. In fact, they've gone through the first generation more than once, which means Pokémon Black and White are up next. The question, of course, is what kind of remakes they will be when they eventually launch. Hopefully we'll be in for something better and more ambitious than the Gen 4 remakes. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Capcom loves remakes, and Monster Hunter is one of its most successful franchises of all time. It's easy to connect those dots and start daydreaming about a remake of one of the series' earlier entries, before it achieved global mainstream success. The PSP's Monster Hunter Freedom Unite is among the series' best early outings, and we'd love to see it remade in the RE engine with the mechanics, gameplay features, and ideas that the series has introduced in the years since it first came out. Resistance Retribution. The Resistance series has never quite seen the sort of success that it maybe deserved, and that goes double for Resistance Retribution, developed by Bend Studio. The PSP third-person shooter is easily among the best games available on the portable system. It's also easy to see how it could benefit from a remake. From better visuals and gameplay improvements to overhauled controls that bring it in line with modern standards. Uncharted Golden Abyss. After developing a Resistance spin-off on the PSP, Bend Studio moved on to the Uncharted spin-off for the PS Vita, and it was just as good, if not better. Golden Abyss is a victim of circumstances, owing to the system that it's available on exclusively and deserves to be played by way more people. A remake, or even a remaster that touches it up, sands out some of its rough edges, and brings it to a platform where it'll be available to sell more than 11 copies, would do wonders for the game. Super Mario 3D Land. Nintendo very rarely looks at mainline Super Mario games when it comes to remakes. Hell, they don't even do a good job with remasters, as 3D All-Stars proves. But if they ever did, boy would we love a ground-up remake of the 3DS's Super Mario 3D Land. It almost picks itself literally. Nintendo expanded upon its ideas and mechanics spectacularly with Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, and we'd love to see those tweaks and improvements being applied to the 3DS title. Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. At this point, we'll take any new mainline Metal Gear game really, as long as it's not total crap at least. But if we had to pick entries in the franchise for remakes, Portable Ops would be high up on the list. Why? Maybe because it could really use a remake. From its gameplay mechanics to its visuals to its controls, the game would see obvious and significant improvements if it was revisited by a talented developer. We could also finally put the debate of whether or not Portable Ops is canon to rest. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Of course, Portable Ops isn't the only Metal Gear game on the PSP. Peace Walker is not only a much better game in more ways than one, it's also a much more crucial part of the saga from a narrative sense. A remake that pumps a AAA budget into that project and that story and revitalizes it as a full-fledged console Metal Gear Solid experience would be something of a dream come true for series fans. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. In spite of how different it is from modern GTA games, or perhaps because of it, Chinatown Wars holds a special place in the hearts of those who have played it. It has seen success on multiple platforms over the years, and we sure would love to see it replicate that success on modern hardware for current audiences. Of course, any Chinatown Wars remake would hopefully retain what makes the game so unique rather than turning it into another third-person title, but then again, given Rockstar's trajectory as a company, that's all just a pipe dream at this point. Daxter. This is easily one of the most underrated PSP games to date because, in spite of being one of the best games in the handheld's library, it's frequently overlooked by people. The Ready at Dawn developed action platformer is an absolute blast from beginning to end, whether that's because of its enjoyable gameplay or its genuinely solid humor. Any sort of Jak and Daxter revival would go down well with series fans, of course, but a Daxter remake in particular would be especially interesting. God of War: Chains of Olympus. That God of War: Chains of Olympus managed to translate the series' formula to a handheld so perfectly was nothing short of a miracle when the first game launched. So it's no surprise that the game still has a special place in the hearts of series fans. Given the radical shift the series has seen in recent years, you obviously can't help but wonder what older installments would look like if God of War's newer ideas and mechanics were applied to them. Even partially so, Chains of Olympus, as the dark horse of the series, would be a particularly interesting remake in that sense. God of War: Ghost of Sparta. For almost the exact same reasons, we'd love to see Ghost of Sparta revitalized, with a new coat of paint as well. Visual improvements would, of course, benefit the game hugely, but from a gameplay sense too, a hypothetical Ghost of Sparta remake could expand its horizons in ways that the PSP's hardware simply would not have allowed back in the day. Who knows, maybe one day we'll get a project that remakes both handheld God of War titles together. One can always hope, right? Kid Icarus Uprising. When you think of 3DS games that could do with remakes, Kid Icarus Uprising is usually the first game that pops into your head. In spite of the fact that it's probably among the best games on the system, actually playing it was also physical torture on your hands, thanks to the game's ridiculously cramped controls. A remake that fixes that and brushes up the visuals could very well turn Kid Icarus Uprising into a veritable modern classic of the shooter genre. Valkyria Chronicles 2. Valkyria Chronicles fans often argue that Sega hasn't done all it can with the Tactics RPG series, and while the best-case scenario would be them making a brand new installment, a remake would surely be a close second. And Valkyria Chronicles 2, as yet another game on this list that's perhaps often unfairly overlooked, would be a perfect candidate for that. The PSP title was deemed a worthy follow-up to its predecessor back when it launched, and has only grown in popularity among the series' fanbase in the years since then. A remake that allows it to shine brighter and maybe get more mainstream success would be the perfect scenario. Resident Evil Revelations. Capcom loves remaking Resident Evil games, and if it does want to do more of those after next year's RE4, there are probably a couple of other games that would be higher up the list of priorities than the original Resident Evil Revelations, but while, say, a Code Veronica remake would be a more popular choice, we wouldn't exactly mind a full-blown Revelations remake either. Brush up the visuals, improve the gameplay and level design, tweak the story, and Revelations could easily stand toe-to-toe with some of the series' best third-person horror outings. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Bolt.